Colten Hussey, here we are again. Yeah, appreciate you making time for the pod.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'm glad to be here. I thought would be a cool one to talk about would be, religion and me and being new to it and all of that stuff. I've grown up with a religion, or what I thought was a religion, and in years past, I found God and found Jesus and all that, and it's been great. And but I'm still very new to it. I definitely I'm trying to be a better Christian every day, but it's been fun, and it's been challenging. And the cool thing is that when I've had questions, I've been able to call you to kind of talk things through. And really, I guess my question is what advice would you have for someone out there who, like I said, wants to be a better Christian?
My advice would be it's not going to be easy
Mm-hmm.
because we got to think that Christ bared the cross for us. And so here on earth, walking a life of a Christian, in a sense, is bearing a cross. The enemy doesn't want us to be more Christ-like. So what can he do to get us to wave our fist at Christ or at God and blame him for any trials and tribulations we go through?
Sure.
But the thing is, to really answer your question, is ultimately have faith no matter what is happening. And it really, I think having faith truly helps rid us of our anxiety, because we have a vision for where we are going, and that is to the Holy Land. We're going to the kingdom. So if we have the vision of where we're going, vision often negates anxiety and negative thought, because if there is no vision, you don't know where you're going, there's too many doors to be opened, and therefore we have anxiety.
Agreed.
So just truly finding your faith. And it's easy to say that we have accepted it, but to me, in my experience, once you truly have 100%, not 90-10, it makes life so much easier. But again, the enemy's going to try and pull you back on his team at the same time. But as far as the other little things of the anxieties of these worlds, I think that is another reason why I just don't experience any anxiety or depression. I don't let things get to me because I understand the end goal.
Yeah. No, that I can very much so relate with. I mean, I had a time in my life where I was very anxious and depressed and all those things, and that's when I started turning to Christ and trying to be better about things like that, and understanding the everything is done with a purpose, right? One of my favorite things, like poems, is I asked for strength and God gave me difficulties to make me strong, right?
Yeah.
So on and so forth, and it keeps going from there. And the hardest moments in our life are truthfully just it's a teaching thing, right? He's there with you the whole time. He doesn't do these because he hates you. He does this because he's trying to make you strong. No, I really feel like that. I don't get anxious anymore. I don't get depressed. I truthfully do feel like I'm at a point in my life where things are just, I'm like, well, this is just how it is. I take the bull by the horns, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, my things are that I still struggle with is I get stressed, right? I get very stressed, and it's, part of it's work related, part of it's life related, and they're not bad things. They're just this end goal, and this the things I guess I struggle with are the monetary value things, right? I don't care about a new phone. I don't care about a new car. I care about bettering my life for me and my lovely lady, and those are the things that I ask for. But growing up as a kid, I was always kind of under the impression that you asked God for those things, right? Okay. And now I've realized those aren't the things you ask for. The things you ask for is you ask for guidance. You just ask for structure in your life, right? You ask for him to knowing that he's there to, you know, help you understand that he's there. I guess those are the things that I ask for now, right? It's not
Yeah.
necessarily an ask; it's more of a conversation. Is what I've been trying to have for the last year to 2 years. It's I want to have a conversation with him. I don't want to ask for things because then I'm being selfish. So
Yeah, and the problem I have with like Western culture and prayer is that too much of the time we think prayer is just asking for something and then we shall receive.
mm-hmm.
Like God does know our heart. He does know our wants, but most of prayer is us building rapport and then even acknowledging our sins.
Mm-hmm.
Building rapport, which is essentially just building a closer relationship with God and seeking wisdom from him, just as anyone would do from their father. Like a child seeks wisdom and builds rapport with their father. And a child, they do it so directly and indirectly through how they watch us, just the little like things that they say. So we have to be building rapport with God directly and indirectly as well. The
Mm-hmm.
indirectly is just like how we're just carrying ourselves. The direct is having those conversations with him, seeking wisdom from him, and repenting our sins, just like you would expect your son. If he, like my boys, if one of them whacks the other one in the head or does something mean or disrespects his mom, like he comes and he tells me sorry.
Yeah.
Once he realizes what he did, it's like we should be telling him sorry for our sins. We should be, what is this that I can do? Like, where, fill me with wisdom in regards to this. Like, I pray every morning and every night, and it's this conversation. And even during the day, it's like, all right, I'm going to this meeting, be with me, or on this podcast. Make sure that I am doing the best to my ability to represent the kingdom.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. I wish I could say I was great at doing it every day. Throughout the day, I definitely when I come across things like you said, if you're going into a meeting, right, I ask for guidance, right, like the help me through this, right, kind of a thing. Those are really good things, and I try to have conversations, and truthfully, I think the thing that I like having conversations with them the most about are when I come across people in my life who are struggling, like, and hey, like the things that you've helped me with, like the ability to, everything's gonna be okay. I know that. That's I probably annoy a lot of people in my life when I say that. Like I'm like, hey, it's gonna be fine. Like I understand that this seems like this is the worst moment in your life. It's gonna be okay. Eventually, we're gonna move on past this, and we're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I just want people to help understand that. Like, and so that's what I pray for that a lot. I really do a lot, all the time. Like help guide these people in my life. Show them the way. And it's tough.
And we got to remember that faith is a muscle. So it's all about just like working out that muscle. How you were saying, like, you're not there yet, but you're continuously working on it. It's just like hitting the gym. We got to start somewhere, and then it compounds over time. So it's either going to compound into the positive, or we slowly are going to stop praying, and it's going to compound the other way.
Yeah.
It's just that muscle, that faith muscle that we got to be continuously be working.
Going to the gym. The gym is just praying.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope, absolutely. It's been, it's fun. It's tough. Like I never thought it'd be as a big of a challenge in my life to, accept that. Like I said, I've always considered myself a Christian my entire life, but never did I really understand what that actually means. I still don't think I do. I don't know if I'll ever understand what that means, but I'm going to do my best to keep trying to figure it out. But the biggest things in my life are really like learning what Jesus did for me and what he did for all of us. Like I love learning that because it's something I never understood, and it's something I don't think I would have understood unless I took the time and I like talked with my friends and started reading the Bible myself and actually like going deeper into things. When I came across something I didn't understand, I Google it, or I'd come and find annotations on it. It's been awesome. It's like your favorite book that you want to keep picking up, and then you find something different about it. It's the same thing when you read the Bible. You're gonna find something different no matter how many times you read the exact same passage.
Yeah. No, I love it. It is my faith. It's a muscle again. My faith continues to grow, and I've only been getting more and more interested in the deep dives of the Bible. It's endless. The deep dives into the Bible, understanding, rereading something, and what message comes out, realizing there's 65,000 hyperlinks in the Bible.
Yep.
It's cool. It is cool. And it's one of those things where I too claimed that I was a Christian forever, but I was living nothing of a Christ-filled life. Like nothing. But I was that person who, like many Americans, not that it's wrong or bad, but who just claimed, yeah, I'm a Christian.
Yep.
But I was doing nothing that a Christian was doing, except like not robbing and stealing and murdering.
Yep. It is funny. There was a conversation I was listening to, just flipping through social media, and it was a conversation between two guys. I wish I could remember their name. And it was the argument for non-believers, and it was, well, what do you if all you got to do to get into heaven is to believe in Christ and practice these things, what if you've never heard about Christ, right? What about those people? Are they going to be banished too? And he goes, no, that's not what it was. Like, the understanding is you're judged upon what you know, right? And so I think a little bit of that is like, you can be a fantastic human being, you can be a great human being, you might even call yourself a good Christian, but eventually Christ is going to show you what point that comes in your life, but he's going to show you, like, no, this is really my teachings, like, this is what I ask of you, are these things. And I think that just comes in a different point in each person's life, right? Like myself, I wanted to be a better Christian a long time ago, right? When I was in my late teens, early 20s, and I thought that meant, okay, well, I mean, sit down and read the Bible. And I started on page 1, right, in Genesis, and started from the beginning, right? And I read the whole entire Old Testament, and I'm like, wow, like, and truthfully, I didn't feel any closer, to God at all. Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way. And but reading through the entire Old Testament, I didn't really feel that way. And then a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago, I sat down and I started reading more of the New Testament, right? And I started reading through that, and then that's when I actually started to, kind of like what you said, it's those hyperlinks, right? You're like, oh, now I understand, right? It starts to make those connections. But that point in people's life, I think it comes, and whether people are willing to accept that is a whole nother story, but it will come in everybody's life at some point.
Yeah, it is said that God has put the word on all of our hearts. So regardless of race, religion, creed, wherever you are in the world, it is put on our hearts. So people often just confuse Christianity with like Western culture.
Yeah.
And so that's why people will try and make that argument. Well, it's just a bunch of white people who believe in Christianity, or it's just a Western culture thing. And it's like, well, that's actually not accurate. It was in Africa. Christianity was in Africa before it was in Europe.
Yep, exactly.
We often forget that. Like, the Ethiopian Bible is way older than the King James Bible.
Yep.
And so forget about that part. But I mean, there are numerous studies where people are going to South Africa and finding these South African or South American tribes who had a similar images of the cross and what they would call like a god that they would worship. And it's like, they're like, oh yeah, that's ours. That's the same one. Or just the fact that it's put on our heart, no matter where we are in the world.
Yep. Well, sorry, but the part, like what you said, it's on everybody's heart. Even if somebody's never heard of Christ ever, that or a tribe, right? It can be completely isolated. They still have those morals that he, preached and talked about. And those morals, like that's kind of what I think about, like when you say, hey, it's on everybody's heart. It's everybody has this innate idea that they want to follow Christ. They just don't know that that's actually what they're doing, right? It's until there's structure in that, like if a Christian, right? That's when they start seeing that structure, when they start following the exact teachings that he asked. And I'm butchering this, but like I remember the conversation Peterson had with it, Jordan Peterson.
So you saw a video with Jordan Peterson and somebody else?
No, I think I actually read it in an article he had published, but I don't remember which one it was. It could be on a video. I know he's talked about it in many videos. I think the original time I had heard about it was on an article, but
No, it's good stuff. We just often want to come up with reasons to invalidate God. And that's one of them. What if someone hasn't heard of him from another country? We're always looking like, where's the gotcha moment? And I think it's one of those things where maybe a non-believer, someone who's not even agnostic, but somebody who's just pure atheist is like, they're afraid.
Yeah.
Like, what is this thing that is like trying to speak to me or pulling on my heart? How can I find something that validates the thing that I want to push away? And it's like, where's the gotcha moment?
Yeah.
And again, I'm also the same person who's like, whatever someone believes in, if truly in their heart that makes them happy and they're filled with joy, I'm not the guy who wants to change their mind. I'm just not. But I will point out when I feel like somebody is trying to resist something that is there. Yeah. It's like, okay, I feel like you're not just willing to have a conversation, because I've talked with atheists who aren't trying to fight something, and they'll have like just an open conversation. They're not trying to do gotcha moments, which I respect. Or someone who's agnostic, who's like, I do believe that there is a creator. Is it Christ? Is it Allah? Is it Buddha? Who is it? They're like, I don't know. But there is some sort of creator out there, and it's like, okay. It's like, and with some of the one particular agnostic that I'm talking about right now, it's like, oh, he's only like 15 more years away from going full Christian. Yeah. Because this same person used to not be a believer in anything. Mm-hmm. And then has come to the notion of how the world works and how the universe works, because they're a very intelligent person, of, okay, there has to be a creator. Yeah. And it's like, you're getting close. You're informing your way in. You've pretty soon you're going to be closet Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, me and you have talked about this a few times just in our friendship, but it's I don't like to argue things that I'm not an expert on, right? But it's on exactly what you said, like when you get into the statistics side of things, right? The likelihood of it being nothing is far outseated by the idea that it has to be something, right? Yeah. And I wouldn't be able to give you the actual data on it, but I do know that is actually something that, people have talked about, and scientists and all those fancy guys, right? But yeah, I don't know how anyone could say that, no, it's just complete random happenstance. I don't get that. Like, to me, it's, I hunt. I'm a hunter. When I'm out in the wilderness and I wake up in the morning, that's the 100% I feel closest to God, right? When I get to watch the sun come up over the mountain, that's it. It's that moment. And I'm like, there's no way that this is just random. When you're waking up and you're hearing the birds and they start tweeting, and then all of a sudden you hear an elk just rip a bugle. It just gives me the tingles, the chills, And I'm just like, that right there. Like, there's no way that this is by accident.
By accident. And the fact that we're the only accident that we know of in the entire universe. We have zero evidence of any life form outside of Earth. Mm-hmm. And how the amount of gravity that we have, the ratio. We just had a solar eclipse, right?
Yeah.
The likelihood of a perfect ratio from Earth to the moon to the sun to have one of those, maybe it's a coincidence. I'm going to go with maybe not. Just the viability of life on any of these other planets, like even Mars. We talk about how we want to populate Mars. Due to the gravity, do you realize that we would actually physically stretch due to the lack of gravity? We would just get like stretched out like that giant thing on the corner that like blows and waves its arms. That's what we would look like. Not that that would be wrong that we looked like that. Because if people ever live on Mars, there's going to be a point where people didn't know that we looked any different. Yeah. Just due to time. But there's a reason there's no life on Mars. There's a reason that we haven't found any life anywhere else. I'm going to butcher this thing, but so we've sent out radio frequencies out into the universe in hopes of one that comes back. Yeah. And it's funny because the very first radio signal we ever sent out was from World War II, and it's Hitler speaking. Oh, no. No. It was from the Olympics before World War II. Gotcha. And it was Hitler speaking. And so it's like if aliens were real, which small likelihood that they are, but there could be. I don't know. That they're going to come back and ask for Hitler. They're going to be like, we heard your radio frequency. Can we speak to Adolf? Yeah. But the point of that is we've never had anything ever return. Yeah. No, ever. Absolutely. There's just, and Tony Robbins has a great saying that it's like there was an explosion in a printing factory and everything came together perfectly and in sync. And people want to say that was by chance. And he's like, I just don't buy it. It had to have been from a creator because it's perfect and in sync. Yep. Like when you look at physics, there's no flaws. Yeah. We can't find flaws through mathematics. We can't find flaws through physics. Yep. Everything is perfectly in sync. And it's, to me, for anyone to say it's just by chance, by luck, it all just came, it was perfectly from a single-celled organism. It's like, really? Perfect from a single-celled organism. How come we skipped 3-celled organisms? How come there's no such thing as a 3-celled organism or a 4-celled organism? We just skip those guys?
Well, and my argument to that too is it's not even an argument. It's I don't know. I'll never know.
I don't know either.
None of us will ever know, right?
We won't.
No, the only one who knows is God. And in that, the thing that I think is so funny too is none of us will ever know. I don't know how he works, right? Like I have a brief understanding that he built everything in 7 days, but what does that actually look like, right? It sounds silly, and it's not the best movie ever, but it's the Noah movie. You ever seen that?
Yeah, with Russell Crowe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not the best movie, but the very, very beginning when he's talking about the creation, right? He says like everything happened in 7 days, but when they explain 7 days and they're showing it, through like the filmmaker's eyes, it's everything in those 7 days happens very, 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 very quickly, right? It's the 6.5 billion years that the Earth is, or whatever, right? That's the 7 days, and so then when you're talking about, okay, well, maybe that is correct that we went from single cell to multi-cell, right? I don't know how that works, and I have a brief understanding of evolution, but maybe that's how the creator intended for it to be. It doesn't mean that there is no creation or creator, that there was no creation.
Yeah,
it does not mean that. It means that maybe that's how he planned it. He's the one who had the intelligent design. So
yeah, and to me, it's a frustrating thing when people want to say that like science and like Christianity or faith have to be two separate things. Because one of the things that people don't realize is that it was Christianity who launched science in the 13 and 1400s. it was the churches who were launching science and to really progress life for everybody. And now these days, people get so dogmatic and they think that they have to be separate.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, because there's a quote I used to have, but it was by a U.S. citizen who has the highest IQ out of every U.S. citizen right now. He has like the third highest IQ in the world. His first name, I think, is Michael. And he believed he could prove God through mathematics. He also believed in aspects of evolution, and he had a description of how it's part of God's plan. Evolution, not his thing wasn't single cell organism evolution, but the evolutionary process and how it creates a closed loop.
Sure.
And how he was often frustrated how people just felt that we had to separate the two.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know. And it's not the thing that keeps me up at night. It doesn't keep me up at night one bit.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to have a conversation with anybody about it. But to me, it's just one of those things where anytime someone wants to say, well, the earth wasn't really created in 7 days, like literally 7 days, 24 hours, 7 times. It's like, okay, no, it's not. If that's your thing, you're just never going to be a believer.
Yeah.
Or it's like, evolution was real. It says that everything was created. Bam, there was Adam and Eve. Bam, there was animals. It's like, well, if that's your sticking point, you're probably never going to believe in. There's a saying called "you don't throw pearls before swine," and you're just not even open to have a discussion. So there's like really just no reason, because you're just trying to say something's wrong and you are right, and you're not open to actual discussion and dialogue.
Whenever you find yourself in a conversation and you can tell that the person has already made up their mind, that's when you stop that conversation.
Exactly. You just stop. Yeah. There's no reason to continue.
Yeah, you have to find somebody who's willing to have a conversation with you, because it's not worth your time, it's not worth your effort. And maybe you come back in 10 years to talk to that person and they're a full-fledged Christian and they want to talk to you, right? But it's not worth your time. If you can tell that somebody already has their minds made up, and that's like, these clickbaity videos that pop out about, I feel terrible, I don't remember his name. He seems like a nice guy, but when he goes to college campuses and he talks about religion, and you see these people who freak out and just start screaming at him and then walk away. Like, that person's already made up their mind. It's not even worth having a conversation about anything with those people.
Are you talking about the Ask Cliff?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and his son does it with him now too?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. I want those guys on my podcast.
One day. They're great.
Day.
I listened to him on another podcast, Kid Out of LA, I think, and it's fantastic. It's a great little thing.
They were on the George Jenko podcast.
George Jenko, thank you. Yes. Yeah.
No, that one was good. I listened to that one as well.
Yeah, and it's great because I think, like, George Jenko, I think I can somewhat relate to, but like he's a guy who always just wants to be better, right? And he's trying to figure it out. He's trying to learn. He's very, very cognizant of the things that he does wrong in his life, but he wants to change them. And he seeks people like them and says, hey, I explain this to me. Why? Explain this to me. Right? And that whole conversation was fantastic. Anybody who has an extra hour or two needs to listen to that podcast.
Yeah, I want George Jenko on mine too. My podcast. I have a little list on my phone, and he's actually on it. And I think specifically because of that episode that they did with the Ask Cliff guy and his son. But yeah, what you were starting to say is those people will just shout stuff at him and then walk away. And he's very honest. He's like, they didn't want to have an intellectual conversation.
Yep.
Their mind was made up, which is why you see them walking away, just shouting out angry things. Like, they're just angry humans.
Yeah. Well, and the Ask Cliff guy, his mind's made up too, 100%, right? But he's open to talking to people and, hey, let's talk about this. Let's not scream at one another. Let's talk. Right? And he does it. I mean, and he'll explain it every time. He's just like, hey, I'm very quick to anger, but because I love you, this is why I want to have a conversation. Because I know Christ loves you, that's why I want to have this conversation.
And here's the thing: he will admit when someone has a hard question. He will admit if he does not know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't try to make up answers.
Yep.
He'll say, "You know what? That's a great question," and the answer is, "I don't know."
Yep.
And he's like, "But," and then he'll have a conversation. So like and on one hand, it's like, yes, his mind is made up, but it's really like his faith. But he's willing to be humble when he talks to these people.
Mm-hmm.
And by saying that he doesn't know, by saying like that is a great question, that is a hard question, he's willing to exchange dialogue with people, which you have to be humble in order to do that.
Yeah,
because he's willing to take it on the chin if someone is able to stump him.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it goes back to that we don't know. We can make assumptions, we can take guesses, but we don't know. I guess just before I leave that, I mean, like my thing that I would say is, like I said, I'm very much so consider myself new and trying to be better. My recommendation for anybody who wants to find Christ is it doesn't mean pick up a Bible and start reading from page 1, because I don't think that's the key, right? It's opening it up and actually starting to read, New Testament, Matthew, Mark, John, right? All those guys. And that spoke the most power to me, because those are the people who spent time with him, right? And those are their actual testimonies, what they witnessed and what they died for witnessing. They said that, no, this is what happened, and took it to their grave. And that right there, like the fact that they took it to their grave and never renounced him, like, I mean, for those who don't know what happened to those disciples of his, it's quite sad and disgusting, but they never ever renounced him. Like, it was to the end. They stated what they saw and what they believed, and knew that Christ was Christ, and died for it.
Yeah. So I'm going to give everybody a quick example along those lines of what you were saying, and then we can move on. So everybody remember President Nixon, okay? And Watergate. He had about a dozen people who lied with him. And guess what? Every one of those people flipped in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of people, so they flipped in 2 weeks. Jesus's disciples, when they saw him rise from the dead, and they said, "Hey, this guy, he has risen."
Mm-hmm.
They went to their grave and were tortured, saying that he had risen. So just think about that. People aren't willing to be murdered and die for a lie. Like the Watergate scandal. In 2 weeks, these guys were like, "All right, we fucking did it. We lied. We made it all up."
Yeah.
But no, they were willing to be tortured to say that no,
the truth.
Yeah, he is the one. So what was your? We'll move on from that.
Sure. Yeah. Complete 180 here.
Dude, I like the 180.
Yeah. Exactly. No, in the entire time of our friendship, right? You've been the type of guy who takes something on, and that's what you're devoted to 100%. You see it through, right? Mm-hmm. Ever since I've ever known you. And my question is it's like, I think there's different types of people out there. You're very much so the entrepreneurial type of guy, right?
Okay.
And I think of myself more as the, not that you don't work hard, but the nose on the grindstone, right? I'm not going to start my own business. That's not my aspirations, right? But what would you recommend to somebody who doesn't know if they're wanting to start their own business, or if they want to, hey, this is what I want to do, and I just want to work my way up? What do you recommend to those people who are caught in the middle? From a man's side of things, like, what do you recommend to those young men out there who are 20, 21, 22, 23? I mean, I see it a lot in my line of work where we have these people and they're just forced on this belief from early education to high school to following education, where hey, the only thing that you can do is go to college and get a degree and then go from there. Like, that's what you have to do. You have to put yourself in $100,000 worth of debt. That's not how I was, and I've been very successful in my life, and I'm very thankful for it. But what would you recommend to those people who think that that's the only option, and to not go down that road and either go the way I went or the way that you go?
So I will give, I guess, my thoughts on both sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Going the business route, business is for everybody, but everybody's not for business.
Business, yeah.
As far as starting your own.
Mm-hmm.
The entrepreneurial life, it can be, it's like, it can be the best thing that will ever happen to you. And it's also that thing that's going to drive you through the fucking mud. And you think you got an air pocket and it's over. And then you're just right back down there. Entrepreneurialism is like Shawshank Redemption. Okay? You're in your prison cell. You're chiseling away at this wall. Chiseling away to just try and get through the wall. And then you get to shimmy down this skinny ass wall. And then you find yourself in a sewer. And you're just walking through a bunch of shit and piss. And there's no light. You're just in the dark, going through the shit and the piss. But eventually, if you're willing to endure all that, you're going to find that there's light at the end of that shit and piss tunnel. And then you're going to get out the other end. And it's like, holy crap, it is beautiful out here in the world. But not everybody wants to endure that.
Yeah.
Not everybody, people don't prepare their family for that. Whether it's just themselves, whether it's their parents because their parents are backing them, or whether it's their wife and their children because they're like, hey, I'm starting a business, honey. Everybody has to be willing to row their boats, whoever's in it with you, whether it's your business partner, your wife, and go through all that shit as long as it takes. Literally as long as it takes. Like, let's take our boy Andy Frisella. He talks about how it was like a decade before he was making any money.
Yeah.
Like over the course of a decade, he paid himself $36,000. Was sleeping on a mattress in the back of a store. Like, but at the end, when he was seeing all the sunshine and where he is now, it's worth it. But people, especially younger people, it's like you have to decide if you're willing to be resilient and do those things, because it's going to punch you in the mouth so much that people that aren't going to want to do it. They're going to, all their friends and family are going to be negative talk to them. They're going to tell you it's not going to work. Why would you do this? It's a lot, but you got to just be willing to do it. Now, the other side of like the corporate job world, there's the con of you're expendable. So anybody can just get rid of you. But the pros are you can actually, through being the baddest motherfucker there, you can make yourself so valuable that there's no reason for them to pass you up on any promotional opportunity. And there are corporations who really take care of their employees. There are corporations who will give you so many benefits, so much time off. They will flexibility. They will pay you a lot of money. And guess what? You know what the expectations are over your career as far as how much money you're going to make, how much money you possibly can make. And you can also take all those skills if you become, again, the baddest motherfucker that they have, that they are not operating as well without you, is what I mean. I don't mean you're the best at, like, you're never late, you're always on time, you always clock out less. Those are things that a lot of people can do. But it's like, what truly are you doing to bring so much value that you're someone who they don't ever want to lose? So I would say if you're going to pick one side of that coin, no matter what you do, you have to be the best. That has to be
Yeah.
your arena. You know, that has to be your arena. You have to look at it as your Michael Jordan, your Tom Brady, and corporations will take care of you. They'll pay you a fuck ton of money. They'll give you benefits. Your family will be in a place that is considered secure. But if you're going to be above average, you're expendable because the next young kid who's above average can take your job and I don't have to pay him as much. So I think it's just whatever one you want to live it, and don't ever look back and question your decisions because that'll eat at you and it'll eat at your performance. So I think both is great. It's just how bad do you want it in either one?
What would you say to the kids that are tossed on they're stuck in that mindset? Maybe I should have phrased my question a little better. Let me explain what I see, right? This is something that I see exactly to what you say. I agree with both points of that. If you're the type of guy who you're like, hey, this is what I want, and I want to start my own business, and you just need to understand that, well, that means that this is going to be tough for a very long time, right? And people don't understand that. Like they hear, yeah, well, it's going to be tough. Like, it's no, like, expect to make no money and spend a lot of money for 5, 10, sometimes 15 years before you ever turn a profit. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But you need to understand that that is okay, because our lives aren't 20 years long. Our lives are, 80 years long. Honestly, like, the overwhelming theme that I see here is the delayed gratification. So I want to come back to that. But the thing, though, that I see that I struggle with in my workplace is we see all these very, very, very bright young people, men and women, who have a lot in their future, and you can see it. And maybe it's at my place of work, or maybe it's somewhere else, but like, they don't devote themselves to what they're doing, and they don't do it to the best of their ability. It's like what you said, right? You have to be the best, or you have to want to be the best. And that doesn't mean that you have to think of yourself as the best. You can be humble and still think and do the same thing. But your work ethic has to be there, your humbleness has to be there, and your charismatic ability with people. Like, you have to be able to talk to people, right? Because you can be the hardest worker. You can, outwork everyone around you. But if you're an asshole while doing it, and you don't have any friends in the corporate side of things, that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be able to do both. I'm very fortunate where I work, and I think that's the one thing that a lot of people do. Like, unfortunately, like, statistics wise, most people will change their careers every 3 years. And in modern day America, no one has loyalty or longevity in anything anymore.
Yeah.
And instead of people being like, okay, well, hey, this is my 10-year plan, and I'm gonna work here, like, this is gonna be the place that I'm gonna work for the rest of my life. And instead of doing that, and then when it gets to 10 years, being like, no, I absolutely hate this, and I need to go find something different, and then, yes, moving on. Or being at like 10 years and being like, man, I'm so glad I did this, and staying for the rest of your career. There's no loyalty anymore. It's not uncommon for you to go and talk to people who've worked at 15, 20 different places, And I think those people that tend to be a little bit more successful work in a couple. I've worked in 3 places in my entire life. Only places I've ever worked. All of which were well into 2 years. For the younger people out there, my biggest thing is just, like you said, work hard, want your job, want to be the best at it, and act like you're going to run the place eventually. That's how you have to look at it, right? You can be part-time Johnny who, is in there sweeping, but do it to the best of your ability. If you're sweeping floors, make sure those floors are the cleanest floors in the entire company.
Yeah.
Right? That should be your aspiration. If your job's to clean the bathroom, right? Make sure that's the cleanest bathroom. The guy behind the elephant at the circus, right? The joke is it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're just cleaning shit all day. Well, yeah, but if you do it to the best of your ability, that's going to be the cleanest circus ever, right?
Yeah,
and you can take that with you.
No one will even know that elephant takes a shit.
Exactly.
They're like, you have a shitless elephant? And it's like, no, we got the best fucking Johnny shit picker upper there is.
Yep. I want to go back to the delayed gratification, because I see this in like you raising young kids and me future that happening. God, it's awful when you talk to people and everything that they want now, and people in my generation. I'm 26 years old. People in my generation and younger, they want everything right now and have no idea what waiting means.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy because everybody's just, no, I want $100,000 job right now. And it's like, dude, you're 18 and have no work experience. Absolutely
None.
none.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, if you want to be the 28, 30-year-old who does that, cool. Put your nose on the grindstone and go to work, right? But you gotta show something. I mean, everybody wants all the money right away and doesn't understand that, like, hey, this will pay off for me in the future.
And nobody wants to work hard on the interim.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell young people who've worked for me, it's like, let's pretend they have an entry-level job while they're in college. Many people have done that. It's like, I promise you, you're not going to work much harder than you are today when you go graduate and you are doing your career being a fucking dentist.
Yeah.
You're going to take this same shit-ass work ethic, complain about your coworkers. When you think you're graduated and you are making more money, you're still going to be that same person.
Yep.
And that's the thing they don't understand. They don't understand that they are developing their skills right now in the entry-level job. It's like, you haven't earned anything. You're not doing anything. You have, like you said, you have no skills. And this work ethic that you have right now, I promise you, it's going to follow you, and you're still not going to have that income you want.
Yep.
You're still not going to see the results you want because, honestly, you're just a shit-ass worker.
Yep. Well, like you
And
said, you could go to school and get a dentist degree or a dental hygienist degree or whatever, everything like that, right? If you're not the best in your field, however, you're not going to make the best money, right? Just because you have a degree doesn't mean shit. If you have no work ethic, like if it's dental hygienist, cool, you might make a decent amount of money. You're never going to make the best amount of money because no one wants to work with you.
Yeah. And I guess one of the things I would say, and this isn't like a knock, but if guys want to just only be above average and they want to make a decent amount of money and they have piss poor attitudes, I would say just go do construction.
Yeah.
We need construction workers. You'll probably get more money sooner in your life. And that's all you're going to do. Because as far as corporate goes, it's like you got to be willing to work your ass off and be the best when you're young and when you're starting. And you got to be willing to eat shit. In construction, you got to be willing to eat shit too.
Well, yeah, I was
but you might start off making a little bit more for eating shit, but you're just as expendable. There's just less people going into those fields.
Yeah.
So you being that guy who's like, well, I don't want to fucking work hard unless they're paying me $180,000. It's like, well, you're not getting $180,000 in construction, but they're going to pay you a little bit more to start.
Yeah, they're going to pay you more to start.
And only because there's less people compared to 30 years ago. There's less skilled labor compared to 30 years ago. Like those generations who had truly skilled labor, they're not around anymore. Like young kids don't want to fucking learn trade. Even schools, it's not just that they don't want to. Schools don't even have auto shop. They don't have woodworking. We don't do trade in public schools anymore.
Yep.
Which is also to the fact that we have less guys in construction.
Yep. No, I agree. Yeah, when I was in high school, they dropped our shop classes, right? They made us a specialty school. Our focus was on sports medicine, and then what they did was throughout the rest of the county, they made each school a specialized school, right? And so I think Reno High was the one that had like the specialty shop school, right? And you would have to transfer if that was the program that you wanted to go into. Right. Well, it's like, no, that shouldn't be the thing. Some kids, that's not an option to transfer.
Yeah, it's not an option.
It's in shop. Like, I'm sorry, but everybody needs to know how to do minor shop stuff, right? In my opinion, everyone should take a carpentry class or a wood shop class. And that is just because, like, I don't care if you live in an apartment or a condo, or you do have a house, or if you live in a cardboard box, you're going to need to know how to use a hammer and a nail and a screw gun. You're going to have to know how to use those things. And some people, like, it sounds silly, some people don't know how to do that.
It fucking blows me away, dude. My wife's little sister is 10 years younger. Her husband doesn't know how to fucking change a tire.
Yeah.
My sister has 16 and a 14-year-old kids, 14-year-old son, 16-year-old daughter. She got a flat tire. And I was like, hey, have them put the spare on. You have a 14-year-old son. Oh, they don't know how. Are you fucking kidding me? I could literally teach a monkey to change a fucking tire. It's so simple, and there's directions on that shit. Yeah. On any like modern car, there's literally directions on where to put the jack, how to connect the jack. There's the whole thing is just laid out for you. They made it simple, stupid. You know that saying, keep it simple, stupid. They did that because it's like nobody wants to do anything or learn anything. And it drove me nuts that my fucking sister was like, they don't know how, they don't need to be doing that. I'm going to have someone come and do it. And it's like, one, I would do that for my sister. But the fact that she had a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old, it's like, there's no way me growing up as a kid that would have flown. My dad would have fucking ripped my fucking ass if I was like, I'm 14, Mom. I'm not going to do the tire for you. Yeah. If my dad couldn't get there, let alone just me being 14, my dad would have been like, hey, change the tire for your mom. It'll be fine till you guys get to the house. Just make sure it's good. Yep. And it's like, yeah, I could have done that at 14. Yep. No problem. Yep. But the fact that kids can't do that, or 25-year-old married men can't do that, I'm just like, what do you mean? And I'm sure he could figure it out. This was more when my brother-in-law was like 19. But still, it's like, what do you mean?
Well, and I think there's just different people out there, and like this isn't a brag on myself, but like my mentality is like, truthfully, I'm kind of a penny pincher on a lot of things. I like to buy nice like hunting gear and stuff like that. I like to work on my yard. Those are the things I like to spend my money on. I don't want to pay a mechanic or a tire shop to, I mean, you wouldn't have them change your tire, but you know what I mean. I'm not going to pay somebody else to do something I can do. So I Google it. There's YouTube. There's all these things that you can do. YouTube University. I have a 2001 Dodge Ram. That's my hunting truck, and it is the best beauty because I can work on the entire thing. If I want to strip the entire thing down, I can. You know how much mechanic stuff I knew before I bought that truck? None. You know how much I know now? I know quite a bit because I've worked on my truck. But I've taken that, like, hey, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to go learn how to do this.
Yeah.
And there's just a different mindset. And it's not that I'm special. It's just everybody has to want to do that. Everybody needs to want to do that. Especially if you're a guy, you should want to learn every day of your life.
Yeah. Nice. It's just interesting how in the cultures that we have, and a lot of it has to do with the parents. It's not the kids. We want to put blame on the kids, but we have parents who are enabling their own kids to not have them do things, barely even hold them accountable for chores. Like it kind of sucks. So like I'm teaching Chance's flag football team, and it's 7 and 6-year-olds, and it's like, are we going to win every game? No, one, because we already lost one game. We already lost one game we've had 4 games. We've lost our first game. But it's like, I don't know if we're going to win the rest of them. We might not. We might lose them all. But the one thing that my goal is to make these kids better than I found them. So I made them all look each other in the eye and introduce themselves, and they all lined up and did it one by one. In every single practice and every single game, they line up and they go and shake every parent's hand, and I like harp on them, look them in the eye, shake their hand, and to say thank you. Every parent, all the kids line up and they just go through all the parents, every practice, every game. And it's like, shake their hand and look them in the eye, because young kids just don't do that anymore. And when I mean young, I mean even like 25-year-olds.
There's
Like,
people that I
they
work with
just
who
don't
are
do that.
older than me. Yeah, there's people I work with who are older than me, who I oversee, who when you go to talk to them, the first thing they do is stare at the ground, or they look over at the corner, or they stare up at the ceiling, and it's like, I'm
Yeah, but they're
talking.
talking to you, and then they'll talk back, and they're
Yeah.
still not looking at you, which I find bizarre.
That's what I mean. Is it's just like, hey, we're having a conversation. Like, let's talk, and it could be any conversation. Like, I'm not the guy who's mean and harps and does that. More or less, I just want to come talk to you. But when you can't look me in the eyes, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, it is. It's so interesting. Yeah, and by younger generation, by no means do I mean children. I mean, like, people under 30.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whoa.
Yep.
Yeah, it is whoa. So it's just one of the things I want to do is just, how can I just show a handful of little shits? You look people in the eye. They're gonna be uncomfortable, but it's like, we're doing this every practice.
Yep.
And the parents love it. Parents fucking love it.
Mm-hmm.
They stand up out of their chairs and they get ready to shake their kids' hands and they all go by. Yeah, and it's like, if anything, you guys are gonna learn how to say like hello and thank you and look someone in the eye and shake their hands. And hopefully we win football games too.
And hopefully you win football games doing it.
And hopefully, yeah. But yeah.
Yep. Well, that's good. No, like, yeah, my original question was like, what are you doing with your boys to do that? And exactly that. That is like a perfect example. But
oh yeah, and with my boys, it's I just do things so different. You know, with my sons, it's at 4 years old, my oldest one, he was making his own scrambled eggs. Freaking heating up the pan, putting the butter in the pan, cracking his own eggs. And other people, there's no way they would let their 3-year-olds do that. And he can make all his own meals. He makes food for his little brother. I was giving them pocket knives at 2.5, 3 years old.
Yep.
I mean, I think you remember me telling you that I got Chance one when he was 2.5.
Yeah, absolutely.
A pocket knife. But I have them do like hard things that they don't want, like farmers walks, like around our neighborhood when it's hot. Yep. When it's fucking hot. I gotta make a video about that, but I'm doing it too, so I don't want to. So it's like, how am I supposed to like hold my phone while I'm doing farmers carries as well with these boys? And it makes me think of like, okay, I don't want to go back in time too much, but I want to, over all the past decades, when like Alexander Hamilton was 24 years old when he signed a Declaration of Independence. Madison was 23 years old. All our founding fathers were mid-20s or lower, with the exception of like Benjamin Franklin. Jefferson was in his 30s. They were young motherfuckers who were just leading, and they started a revolution, essentially.
Yep.
Okay, but we've gotten to the point where you can be 24 and you just don't do anything.
Yep.
And it's like, why? So it's like, how can I just look over all throughout the things of history, even going back to the Spartans, and there's a thing like the agoge, where 7-year-old boys left their mothers and they only were with their fathers to become men. It's like, what are the things that I can do throughout all of history and put that in a big ball and not give a fuck what any of my neighbors think or social media thinks? And that's how I raise my sons.
Yep.
Like, I just want to take all the benefits and not it's like, this is my perspective or my perception, having true perspective on the benefits. Because everyone thinks they have perspective. No one knows what that even means. Everyone has their perception. So it's like, how can we really look at how men were? Chance opening the door for his mom. My boys not saying a single curse word around women. It's like, if we're on the football field, we're out hunting. We're out in the hills with the boys. Like, I don't care if you drop an F-bomb, and because it's a positive reinforcement, or you're trying to get a point across. Not derogatory, but like, that was fucking awesome, Dad. We fucking whoa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, I get that you want to express yourself, but I do not need to hear you ever say anything in front of women. There's no reason to curse in front of women.
Sure.
You know, especially his mom and his grandma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, you don't need to do that. 1, you're 7. 2, it's your mother and grandma. But like, what are all the things in the past? It's like, hey, at church, you're wearing fucking your Sunday's best. Like, people wear pajamas out. Like, teaching my kids not to wear pajamas out. It's like, have some respect for yourself and the people you're going to see. So like, you see them, we do not allow them to go out in public unkempt.
Yeah.
Their hair is done. Their hair is done. They have on good clothes, a collared shirt, whether it's short sleeve, long sleeve, but it's like they're looking presentable, and like, that's how we got to do. It's just one of the million things that we're trying to do.
Yep. No, I know. I don't know how. Yeah, so exactly your point. Like, when you go out and you see this snot-nosed kid who's got shit all over their face, and you just are like, why do the parents let him do that? So the fact that you guys are intentionally not doing those kinds of things it's important, because it teaches them, like, hey, I need to hold myself accountable and respectful, and truthfully just respect myself enough to not want to look like this in public.
No, I'm going to take it further. How many fucking adults do you see going to your building wearing pajamas?
It's bad.
Pajamas.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't have enough self-respect for you to get out of your pajamas. Like, we've just gotten into a culture of and it's not even the respect for you, but it's also the respect for other people, that you're not willing to look presentable.
Mm-hmm.
That is a two-way street.
It's a two-way street, yeah.
You know, it's like, we don't have a respect for the other people enough to look presentable. We don't have a respect for our own self to look presentable. It's like, why?
Yep.
You know, even like, look at school teachers. Like, when their school teachers used to be always suited and booted if you were a male. And if you were a female, they were always presentable in like a dress or the Hillary suit, whatever those, you know, a female suit, whatever that's called. Yeah, looking the Hillary Clinton outfit. But now it's like, you go to an elementary school and it's like, oh, the teacher's looks like a fucking child. They're just in shorts and yoga pants. Or like a t-shirt and like yoga pants, or a t-shirt and this, and it's like, are you're not the teacher. Oh, you're a student. You're one of the moms. Oh, you are the teacher. Oh, you're a principal wearing a t-shirt and blue jeans. And not that there's something wrong with that, but they used to be examples of respect that we would follow, and it's just not the same.
Well, no, you think of the most important people in your life, like, or the people that set like the biggest example in your life, and were they wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt when they were walking around town? No, not at all, right? So why should your teachers be doing that? Like, teachers, like, I mean, my opinion on teachers is like, and we've had these conversations, I don't personally trust the school systems nowadays, and I can't believe what they're doing. But the fact, though, that there's still people out there who want to teach kids, I think that's like one of the most respectable jobs ever. And I wish that we defended them more, both from the political side of things, and I wish that we defended them more from, you know, the financial side of things, right? Like, I wish we did pay our teachers more, because then we're going to actually attract quality people and not these piece of crap ones you see on the news, right? But the ones that are in the sweatpants and the t-shirts, like, those are the ones that are setting this bad example, that make it even more so harder to do so, right? It's not your teacher from the 80s or the 90s or the early 2000s where it was, you know, they came in the female suit, right? Or they had the business cash stuff on, right? Collared shirt, right?
Yeah, or the females were always wearing dresses, like looking nice. It's just not the same. And so parents are allowing their high schoolers to just wear pajamas every day to school. and they've allowed it their entire time. We have adults who do the same thing. It's like, wow. It makes me want to only wear suits ever again, to just be like, go so against the grain because it's turning and influence anyone around me. Like, just wear more collared shirts, ties, sport jackets.
Yep.
But yeah. So my kids, I'm definitely trying to, and I'm trying to do everything, lead it all by example is the thing though too.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm not going to do it, there's no way I would tell my kids to do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. What else do we? Oh, really quick. Hunting tags. They were doing the draw. They announced they were doing the draw yesterday.
Yep. I'm hoping they come out tonight. For official for sure day is tomorrow. But
yeah, but what the heck? I was looking at for that email this morning that says,
I know
you drew an elk tag, mule deer tag, and a moose tag.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't got that email yet.
No, well, me neither. No, I can't tell you. I'm beyond excited. I mean, you know, me and you, ever since our beginning of our friendship, it's always talk about hunting season. If it's hunting season or if it's not hunting season, you're talking about hunting season. So
365, we talked about hunting season.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. It's hey, how am I bettering myself in the off season for hunting season, and then in hunting season, it's hey, what am I doing to get ready for the next hunts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny too because like even in the middle of hunting season, we're dreaming about next year's hunting season. You know. So
yeah, it is. Oh, and then California's open. It closes on June 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We got to put in for the California.
Yeah. No. I'm aware of that one. Yeah, we're gonna be doing that. I just am waiting to see what we draw here. You know, because
yeah.
I also have my lady, she hunts. You know, I got her into it, and so she should hopefully draw some tags too. So we just got to make sure time wise, I'm not killing every weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see what she gets. Hopefully, she gets a cool tag.
I'm really hoping she does. Yeah, I'd be honest with. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm curious of who's getting the. Do you know how many moose tags there was?
Well, they discussed between one or two. They never released an official number, but I think it's one.
Because I talked to an Endel guy who he said he thought it was going to be 4.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
but I've heard 2, and I've heard 4.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, fantastic. It's so cool. It's when you talk about like wildlife conservation, the fact that Nevada, like and mind you, where these moose are isn't Nevada, right? It's not Las Vegas, Nevada. It's not, Winnemucca, Nevada. It's they're way up north where it's a lot greener and it looks a little bit more like Montana. But that's what's so crazy to me is it's like, who would have ever thought moose in Nevada? And 10, 15 years ago, they let them introduce themselves into that northern region, and now we're sitting in a high enough population that we can have a tag. Like, it is a ridiculous success story. And it's honestly, I think so cool. So whomever draws it, I'm so stoked for that.
I mean, there's a part of me that's like, I can easily imagine it because all those areas used to also have bison.
Yeah, sure.
At one point. And, just filled with bears.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's just different.
Yep.
It is cool, though, from as long as we've been here, that there's moose coming down.
Yeah.
Because it used to be that thing you would have to go to Alaska, Canada.
Oh, yeah.
There's the once-in-a-lifetime tag in Utah, Montana, Idaho, once-in-a-lifetime tags. But now it's actually in our state. Well,
and what I think is like my favorite part about it is that me and you and everybody else has the exact same opportunity for it. Like, it's not, hey, I'm 10 points behind somebody else and I have to kind of wait my turn.
A guy's been putting in for 15 years and you just turned 18.
Yep.
And you're like, well, I got 2 points as an adult or something.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm very much so excited for that. Everybody's got the equal opportunity.
See, this to me should have been the start of getting rid of the point system in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
By going, this is going to stay full lotto. and eventually weed the others into just straight lottery and get rid of the points.
Well, and that's a hot topic. You talk to hunters, and it might not be a hot topic to, Johnny who lives in LA, but that's a hot topic to the hunters here in Nevada, I can tell you, is some people love the point system, and some people absolutely hate the point system. I'm very much neutral. I know your opinion on it, but
yeah, I think it's socialism.
Yeah, it is quite funny. I mean, my thing for it, and like why I do support it, is say you're just a really unlucky 80-year-old dude, and you really want a sheep tag, and you've been putting in for it for the last 28 years. Your odds are at least better than somebody else's, right? But that's really the only reason I support it. Otherwise, yeah, a full lottery, because full lottery with some once in a lifetime tags would be like, I honestly, that's like an ideal opinion.
So I was talking to a guy literally 2 weeks ago who he's been putting in for bull elk points only for 5 years with zero intentions to hunt.
Yep.
Until he's ready.
Yep.
Which is literally holding your line of spot, which is why I'm like, it's socialism. But this same guy has had 2 bull elk depredation tags.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you'll put in for depredation tags and hunt a depredation tag.
Yeah.
But you're just saving points for a regular bull tag.
Yep.
It's like, good for him. Because then he's going to eventually, but as far as the system goes, it's like that, not that it shouldn't be allowed, because that is the system, and I think it's great that he's using the system to the best of his ability.
Sure.
But he even still says he has no interest in applying to actually hunt a bull tag this year. He's like, I'm just putting in for points. I'm not going to hunt a bull tag.
I know tons of people who are like that. Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? Like, and then you just want to like cut in front of the line. I've been waiting here the whole time, and it's like, but you haven't. You just you just gave someone $10 to hold your spot.
Yep. Well, and my thing on it too is I talk to a lot of, just in my age group, I talk to a lot of kids who are still in college, and they're like, I probably don't have the time. And I'm like, here's the thing. You draw a desert sheep tag, you're going to make time, or I'm going to make you make time.
You're going to make time.
Yeah. I was like, put in for the damn tag, because everybody has an opportunity. Even if you only have 1 point or 0 points, you still have a chance of drawing a tag. It is a lottery still. Your name, your ball could be the one that pulls out of the bingo tube. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. It's not everyone's going to be New Mexico, where everybody, regardless, has a like 4% chance, if you're a non-resident, of drawing a bull tag.
Yep.
And it's like, that's a hell of a lot better odds than drawing like a regular cow tag here being a resident.
Yep.
It's like 0.08.
Yep.
But anyways, we could talk about hunting forever. Well, I appreciate you coming on the pod, man. And I thought it was cool that we could hear your chickens and hear all the birds in the background. Yep.
Yeah. Just sitting out on my porch.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll be texting hopefully today or tomorrow about draw results.
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right, man. Until next time, and I'll talk to you soon.